Okay, we are back with part 2, and what I was talking about in the last video was how when the skin stretches around your skull, it sounds like super metal, but when it stretches around your skull, like, it's still going to be rounded. We don't have like actual angles, you know, like a hard angle like you would see in a book. Everything is rounded. So creating a round shape means that we have to have those gradients in between to appear like we're getting from one place to the other. And how we do that, again, just as a reminder, are the lightest values appear to be moving forward, your darkest values appear to be moving backwards. So we create the values in between to get from one to the other. Okay, we are onto the teeth, and that's kind of what I'm talking about. You can tell with the gums. So I had the lightest values coming like forward. It's making it look like there's a curve to it. And I'm going to do a similar thing with the teeth. But because he's at like a 3/4 angle, which means like part of his face is in light and the other part is like more in shadow. So we had to kind of shape the teeth that way, where the part that is in the light is lighter and the part that is in the shadow is a little bit darker. And very important, just make sure you are really doing thin transparent glazes. You can always build more on top, but it is really hard to kind of reshape it, because if you lose that, then you're kind of having to redo everything. So make sure you keep everything transparent so you don't lose the work that you've done underneath. Kind of like what I'm doing right now. Another thing too to keep in mind is white is opaque. So if you add white to your paint, even though you add a transparent glaze, it's going to make your paint opaque, so use it sparingly. At the moment, I'm using a detail brush, and I really like to blend with detail brushes by adding more glaze. So you can kind of soften it out by adding more glaze until it's like blended into the background. I think it's important to note at this moment, well, here's a blending brush. So what I do is I add the color in and use a dry blending brush to soften the edges out and blend it into the work that I have underneath. You see, like right by his nose, there's a little bit of like a paint mark there, and I guarantee you that came from that one painting session I did where the paint dried on the glass palette, and I probably mixed it into my paintbrush, added it on, and it dried there. So now it appears that he has a mark there where he does not. There's really no way to hide that either. You just kind of paint around it and hope that it'll blend in. You could tell how the glaze is, I could barely add paint to the glaze. I just want a little touch of it. And as you progress in your layers, you kind of want to use more glaze than paint, so you don't lose the work that you've done before. And I know that in the next video, or maybe, I'm not sure which video, it might even be this one, but like at the moment, I'm so happy with the way that this portrait is going. Like I was on the right path at the moment, and then I made a big mistake at the end of this video. So if this were a dream world and I could go back in time and be here, what I would do at this very moment in time is just, I'm going to say it and then you can see, I would let everything dry and skip that leveling gel that I used in the past 3 portraits. You'll see what I mean. heartbreaking to watch this because I really love the way it's going right now. I guess another thing to keep in mind too, like you can tell on the board the paint is already drying. I'm trying to like peel the paint up and get underneath it to get the wet mixed paint. And lesson from the other video, just stop. Like if you're getting to that point where your paint has dried, stop. And I know that I continued because I was so close to the end, and I wanted to have this like filmed for you guys. So I just kept on like remixing, and I mean, for this very specific part of the process though, it worked out. But I'm not sure how long I sat for this painting session. I knew that I wanted to, I knew because for the purpose of this class that I wanted to get to a certain point so that the next day when I filmed, I would have you guys at a certain spot that would make it easier for learning, but it also made me do things like this where I allowed the paint to dry on the board and not remix it. So think about your own deadlines in your life. If you're doing this for fun, big word of advice is when your paint dries, stop for the night or stop for your painting session, or just clear it and spend some time remixing your paint. It's not going to be exactly the same that you had before, but that's never been a big deal. At least you know that you're only like mixing up your three hues. You have your like white, your black, and your cad red. So it's not like you can really stray too far from what you had. All right, so check this out. I'm adding in the hoodie part. Pretty thick too. Cleared off my canvas, and that has not even dried. And I'm adding my leveling gel on. And what is happening at the moment is that wet paint, or it's not even like completely wet, slightly dry, slightly wet, it's going into the leveling gel and adding this goopy glaze that is like taking that paint and getting it all over his face. Like, okay, so let's see how this dries. I'll see you in the next video.